Let's get into this. So we're going to talk about, a while back, Sony announced that they were releasing, like, they had like 12, I can't remember the exact number. It was like 12 or 16 or something like that, live service games in development. A ton of them have been canceled. And the most recent ones that have been announced are Blue Point. Their mystery project was canceled, and it turned out to be a live service spinoff of God of War. What? What? So this got announced, and then along with it, boom, Ben Studios live service title also canceled. So who knows if it was a Days Gone spinoff or something. They were using Unreal Engine, so they were really comfortable with it. So maybe it was just like an open world zombie live service game. Who the hell knows what it was? But these two projects just got announced to be canceled, man. Shit can. So think of it this way. Blue Point, the last game they released was the Demon's Souls remake, and that was a launch title for the PS5. So that came out in like November 2020. So it's been 4 and a bit years since that shit.
Hang on. I'm just checking your math on that. Yes. I got the same thing.
That is insane. So they just flushed 4.5 years of work down the fucking toilet, dude. Completely flushed down the toilet. And it's so random. I know that Blue Point helped Sony Santa Monica get God of War Ragnarok out on time. So like they kind of helped the studio like make sure that that game launched. And to be fair, again, I have my gripes with God of War, the God of War 2018 and Ragnarok games. But to be fair, that game did launch, like, it was a solid release. It didn't have any huge bugs. It was not janky. It was solid. And that's a big accomplishment these days. So Blue Point helped them with that. But like, to think like, and that was still 2022, late 2022. And then for like Sony to be like, hey, just take what you learned and make a live service game out of it. It's so dumb. So dumb that that's what they were working on. And people were like, I remember it was, people were saying that Blue Point was working on a new IP, like their own IP. And I feel like now that I think about it, it wasn't that they said their own IP. I think they said something like, we're working on something fresh. So it's not a remake. And I think this is what it was. People are like copium and they're like, no, they still have another project. I don't think so, dude. Like, Blue Point's not a huge studio. They're not big enough yet to where they have multiple teams working on different products. Allegedly, I don't know. I don't work for them, but I feel like they've been a one game company since forever. So even during their acquisition by Sony, I don't see it. Them like having multiple teams. So this is what they were working on, dude. A God of War spin-off live service game. What the hell? And you gotta remember too, like Sony greenlit Concord, but these games are getting the axe. The Last of Us live service game, gone, flushed down the toilet. The Blue Point live service game, gone, done. Ben Studios, gone, done. And they gave Concord the green light. So you gotta think, like, these games must have been worse than Concord. I don't know, or just not compelling. But what sucks is I don't feel like it's the fault of Blue Point or Bend or like, I don't know, like the people that made Concord. Like, they were a new studio, but there was a lot of like stupid decisions. I want to stick up for Blue Point specifically, because as much as I say that I don't like the Demon's Souls remake as much as I like the original, I never will, because it's not like a true Miyazaki project. You can tell it's different, but they did a great job. They did an excellent job on it, and I've said it 100 million times. To this day, I still think the graphics in the Demon's Souls remake are the best in class on the PS5 or on the current console generation, and they have not been matched. Some people say that like Horizon Forbidden West looks better. I disagree. Like, I just feel like Horizon Forbidden West and Zero Dawn have a lot of like green fauna, or like just like green lush environments, and there really isn't that in the Demon Souls remake, so you can't compare really apples to apples. But I don't know, I definitely feel like they're close, but I like, my personal preference, I feel like the Demon Souls remake has better graphics. But the point I'm getting at is, they made a fantastic game, but I feel like this is what happens when we have mismanagement. So Sony, in my opinion, speculation, got a whiff of that fucking live service money. They got a whiff of that Fortnite money, a glimpse, a taste. And they were like, I want some of that. So I think Jim Ryan in his tenure with his team, Herman Hulse, all of them, were like, let's do that, baby. Let's get a piece of that pie. And they're like, we can do that. So they went to all of their in-house studios and they were like, whatever you're working on, either make it fit in live service or scrap it and start working on a live service game. That's what I feel. Again, this is alleged. This is speculation, hearsay. This is just like from the behavior, the information I am seeing, this is the conclusion that I'm coming to. I feel like that was the decision that was made. And making a live service game is very difficult. Like, I feel like a lot of people think, no, you just make it multiplayer and you just make it available online and you just like throw in some loot boxes and shit. No. It's difficult. So you may be very good at single player narrative games, or like a specific type of game, but it's difficult to just like completely jump to a live service multiplayer game. Because you got to think of a bunch of stuff. You got to think of like, okay, what's going to compel the player to want to keep playing, since you don't have like a campaign really. How do you keep people continuously playing this shit? How do you make them want to spend money? How do you make the gameplay loop engaging enough to where people will keep playing, but also make it grindy enough that people might want to pay for perks to progress the game a little bit faster, a little bit easier, a little bit of pay to win? How do you do that? That's a lot of shit that you got to like incorporate. And then just like how all the live servers work and like getting different people in lobbies and stuff. I'm sure all that stuff is very, very complicated. So that mandate is dumped on you. And then your studio either has to like hire a bunch of people to be able to facilitate the changes or to incorporate these new mechanics, or you gotta like train a bunch of people and you gotta retrofit it into whatever the hell you're working on. It adds a ton of time, a ton of overhead, a ton of wasted money. And to go through all of that and then have that game just flush down the toilet because Sony was just like, bro, it's not working out for us, and I don't think your game's gonna be a winner. Boom. That's gotta be tough, dude. That's gotta be so tough. Like Ben Studios, they're already pissed that Days Gone didn't get like the big push from Sony, because they sold like 9 million copies, which is like still pretty, it's really good. Sold more than Bloodborne, and they're not getting that push from Sony. So they get this other project that they're probably kind of forced into doing, and then that gets flushed. And then Naughty Dog, like the big golden child, they couldn't even get The Last of Us multiplayer to a state where it was good enough to release. So it just goes to show you, like, it's not an easy task. And then you see this article, and it's like, Concord's failure prompted Sony to cancel live services project. Jeff Grubb, a lot of his shit is pretty questionable. What he like leaks. Sony is shell shocked by Concord. But you know what's funny is I kind of believe that, because they bet the farm, dude. They bet everything. They put all the chips down. to be like, yo, we're going with Concord. And they thought they had a fucking mega hit. And that's what happens when you get like a bunch of yes people together and like executives who don't have their hand on the pulse, like the modern gaming audience pulse, or the mainstream gaming audience pulse. And you just got a bunch of people like just agreeing with you or just like gassing you up. They're like, yeah, it's gonna be like Star Wars mixed with Guardians of the Galaxy with characters that a modern audience would love. And it's gonna be like Overwatch and Fortnite put together. And maybe a little bit of Destiny. Slam dunk. And they're like, this is gonna be great. We're gonna make so much money. But they didn't like care to ask what like actual gamers were gonna say. And then from what I've been hearing, some of the rumors, again, speculation, that there was a toxic positivity at, is it Firesprite, the studio that made Concord? There was toxic positivity, and I know what that's like. I know what that's like. Where nobody can give criticism. Nobody can say anything negative. Because then you're looked at as you're not playing on the right team, or you're not being a team player if you're being negative or constructive in any sort of way. Someone like, and then also with like all of the layoffs in the industry, people are just fending for themselves, dude. Nobody wants to speak up. Nobody wants to stand up and be like, yo, this is gonna suck, dude. Because no one wants to get fired. Like, no one wants to lose their job. People got bills to pay. So they go through all these conversations like they're NPC interactions, and they just like choose the option that'll get them out the quickest and with the least amount of resistance. But you know, people had to have been biting their lip in those conference rooms. Somebody had to be like, dude, these characters look dumb. Nobody is going to align with these characters. Nobody's going to connect to these characters. These characters look stupid as hell. They're ugly as they're weird looking. It's like nobody's going to connect with that. And they're like, nah, it's like, it's going to be like the modern audience is going to love it. And it's just like, no, we're going to go against social norms. Like, okay, well, you're going to go against what people want to buy, and you're going to get shut down less than 2 weeks later, which is exactly what happened. That'd be a hard pill to swallow, because they probably got gaslit for years and months, being gaslit, being like getting their butt tickled to be like, yeah, dude, this is going to be so good. This is gonna be so good. This is just gonna be the best game ever. It's gonna have everything. People are gonna spend so much money on it, and for it to just dud. Like that first network test weekend, where it was like people who pre-purchased or pre-ordered the game got access to the game, and the numbers were not good. I think it was like barely 1,000, and then they're like, okay, make it free for people to try out. And then the numbers were worse. Like, you couldn't even get people to play the game for free, dude. Savage. And it's like, yeah, you gotta close down that studio. Like, anyone who's high up making decisions deserve to lose their job, to learn that lesson. The lower level people, like the developers and stuff, that sucks, because they have no say. They're just doing what they're told. But still, huge mismanagement of money. But it's funny. So like that huge flop led them to be like, okay, cancel it, / you're done. And that gives me hope. Honestly, that gives me a bit of hope. Because what that means is they're trying to learn from their mistakes. And like, honestly, dude, like Sony, stay in your lane, dude. Stick to the third person action narrative experiences. Like, that's what you do. Stick to that. Just keep doing that. I'm not saying there doesn't need to be exclusives. You need to have exclusives if you're a console, or else there's no reason to buy your console. There's no reason to buy your box if you don't have an exclusive reason to buy your box. Xbox is figuring that out, or not figuring that out, whatever the hell they're doing. But hey, Game Pass is cheap, whatever. It's so funny. But like, and yeah, I get it. It sucks when you don't own that platform, when that platform has a game that you possibly are interested in and you can't play it because it's exclusive to that console. But that's the name of the game, baby. That's how they stay competitive. So they need to get back to the real house, and they have a well of IPs that they could jump into. Like, bring back Siphon Filter, bring back Infamous. I don't give a shit. Honestly, just like get back to your wheelhouse, make the third person over the shoulder action narrative games. I also kind of feel like the age of like the cinematic movie game experience is kind of over. It's kind of on its way out. It was a cool experiment back in like 2017 when like Hellblade and then the original God of War 2018 came out. It was like, okay, cool, let's get as cinematic as we could possibly get. Or like even the Order 1866. These games that, in my opinion, don't really have a lot of substance. They're just, their main focus is telling this cinematic narrative experience. And people will like jump down my throat and be like, are you saying that God of War 2018 had no substance? Like the combat is that, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, quit joking yourself. The combat is very surface level. It's a beat 'em up with a like cinematic narrative movie experience. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. Just don't make it something that it's not. But I feel like that type of game is on its way out anyway. Like, I feel like people got a taste with Elden Ring and some other games that have really popped off, like Marvel Rivals, Helldivers 2, Space Marine, Black Myth Wukong, and fuck, dude, even Astrobot, that won Game of the Year somehow. People want gameplay. They want engaging and just like amazing gameplay. So I think those cinematic movie type games, there is a small space for them, but I feel like it's kind of gone and past, in my opinion. I hope people are seeing the light. I don't know for sure. Tell me what you guys think about these games as a service, like just getting deleted. The fucking hard drive is scrubbed. 4 years, 5 years of work down the toilet, dude. And that's, again, I just want to add one more thing. That's why all these studios are having to pump out these remasters, and like they need revenue now. What's the cheapest way to get some revenue? Slap a coat of paint on a previously made game, update the graphics slightly, whatever, do a couple little quality of life things, bing bang boom, $40. And I feel like the same dude, the Yoshida dude, was on record saying like support remakes. And it's like, yeah, dude, because you're out of money. You need liquid revenue right now to keep operations going, or else there's going to be more closures and layoffs. But yeah, I definitely feel like both Xbox and PlayStation have fumbled this generation in the first half. Hopefully they can get it together for the second half. My hopes aren't too high though.